Competitive advantage. Deciding what you can excel at in relation to the competition is probably one of the most important things in strategic planning. It's not enough to be good at something, you need to be better than the competition. If you are competing in a marketplace, offering basically the same thing as many rivals, then prices will inevitably fall. On the other hand, if you can do something different than other people, you are nearer to having a monopoly position, in which case prices will rise. So how do you use your competitive advantage? You do this by focusing on something that you can deliver that your rivals cannot. In that way, you can dominate a niche. Now, this market might be a small market, but if you can dominate it, you have a better position in relation to price. It's better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. Focusing on your unique strengths and not following the crowd is counterintuitive, but strategically intelligent. Here's an example of competitive advantage taken from my marketing book, Chase One Rabbit, Strategic Marketing for Business Success, 63 Tips, Techniques and Tales for Creative Entrepreneurs. Felipe manages a small video production company in Bogota, Colombia. When I asked him about his strengths, about the films he made and what he was good at, he told me that he was best at making music videos. He also told me that he could make corporate videos along with his colleagues, and sometimes they made documentaries in more than one language. I then asked him what he was good at in relation to rivals. In other words, I asked him about the market and what other rivals were doing, and he said that many other firms and companies were making music videos, and many were better than he was. And in this way, he does not have competitive advantage. Other companies made corporate videos, and they were about the same in terms of quality as him and his colleagues. But when I asked him further about the documentaries in more than one language, he said very few other people were doing this, and they weren't as good as him. And therefore, in this way, he has competitive advantage. Because although he doesn't say that it's his best thing, he's actually better than his rivals in the market. And again, I say that competitive advantage is not about what you are best at, it's what you are best at in relation to the competition. And so the question to ask yourself is what you can excel at, what you can be the best at. And more precisely, what you can be the best at in relation to competition. If you focus on areas that you are best at in relation to competition, you can win the battles, you can dominate the market. Your competitive advantage may be derived from some skill that you have that others do not, some technical speciality. But it may be also derived from other means, from some infrastructure, connections, or equipment that you have that other people don't, or even distribution systems. These things can give you competitive advantage. And sometimes competitive advantage can be derived from social connections, from knowing a market intimately, from having a reputation with particular communities, or having some other social advantage that puts you above the competition. The important thing is that we cannot recognize our competitive advantage unless we acknowledge and understand our competitors. We need therefore to be outward looking, not just thinking about ourselves, but thinking about ourselves and our businesses in relation to the wider market and the competition out there. A large market may seem attractive, but if there is also great supply to that market, then it becomes a buyer's market. On the other hand, a smaller market may actually be more attractive and more profitable for you, because if there is less supply to that market, it becomes a seller's market, and you can dominate that niche. And this is why competitive advantage is a very important element in strategic planning. We have other resources online that you can follow to learn more about strategic planning, to apply it to your enterprise so that you can become even more successful.